Hey everyone, it is Tuesday morning, so this is probably going to be a run-on from the previous video, I think, because I don't think there's enough content. But if not, good morning, welcome to our small footprint, and ignore the dogs barking at a car driving, 300 meters away. I'm going to start today off with banana bread. So I've got some really ripe bananas, and I'm going to turn them into some banana bread. I use my Thermomix for that. I've got my cast iron pans, and I'll do at least 2 loaves of it because it freezes really well, and you can even slice it and freeze it, and it's really nice toasted with butter on it and things like that. So we will do a choc chip banana bread too, just to be that little bit more decadent, because we can. We don't have, you can use the frozen bananas, so sometimes I freeze the bananas once they're this ripe, and we use them in smoothies and ice cream and things like that. And you can use frozen bananas in your banana bread, but I don't find that it's quite as good. I think because it loses some of its moisture because it's frozen, or gains some water maybe and loses some of the fuller flavour. It works really well in smoothies and stuff, but I do prefer making banana bread with fresh bananas. So when we buy the boxes of bananas in the last few days we bought these, the flies are really bad today. I came back from shopping on Sunday, and it is now Tuesday, so these are a week, 10 days, 8 days old. So these are really nice and spotty, and they'll be really less firm and nice and sweet. So that's what we're going to do first up today, is make some banana bread. Then I haven't decided. I'm not sure what I'm going to do after that. It is, did I say it's Tuesday? It's not Tuesday, it's Monday. It's public holiday, but it's Monday. And Darryl is doing his live stream D&D game this morning, so I tend to avoid my office space when he's doing that. Sonnet is putting together the last of the nesting boxes. So the new nesting boxes that I showed in Sunday's video, which came out this morning, that we bought. I have a third one. She's putting that together for one of the other pens. I think I'm going to buy some more. I think they're going to work quite well. I bought these. I think most of them are from Temu, but what I did was I scoured the same, like the image. I did a reverse Google search for the image, and wherever I could get them cheapest. And I think Temu had them on sale for like $80 when I bought the last 2. And they're stainless steel with plastic, not all plastic. So I wanted that stainless steel so that even if the flaps and things don't continue to work, we can replace them with something else. Maybe even work out a 3D model for them, and then I could replace them myself with PETG or something that's possible. But I wanted the stainless steel structure. So Sonnet's putting the last one of those together for me now, and then I'll probably buy a couple more for the other pens. And hopefully we can discourage the goannas in summer, but also encourage the chooks to lay in the nesting boxes rather than putting the eggs all over the pens. But it's also going to stop them from going broody too when we want them to, because the eggs should roll away, which means they won't be sitting on them. So we'll see how we go. Anyway, let's get started on the banana bread. I've got my notes, and I make a very just throw together banana bread, like a lot of the other things I make. So all I do is I use my Thermomix, and I put 3 to 4 bananas in depending on how big they are. I probably only need 3 at this size, to be honest, because they're but they're not overly soft. Like, they're starting to go, but they're not quite. So maybe I'll use 4 per and just do 2 batches. The banana skins are always, whenever I do things like this, there's always discussions about the banana skins. If you soak them in water, they make a really good watering for your garden, but I don't have much of a garden going at the moment. And my pigs really like banana skins, so they will just go to the pigs. So we have 4 bananas in there. Then I just add, now let me get some things together first. All right, so we've got our 4 bananas in there. Then we add about 1/3 of a cup of oil. I've only got a 1/2 cup here, but this is one that I really should measure out all my ingredients for, shouldn't I? So that I don't have to worry about measuring cups, because we all know how much I hate measuring cups. 1/3 of a cup of oil. We want a 3/4 to a cup of sugar to taste. As I said, these bananas are ripe, but not overly ripe, so I'm just going to do a scant cup of raw sugar. I am going to put a tiny bit of molasses in there though, to give it that brown sugar flavour. So just a little drizzle of molasses to give it that brown sugar flavour. I should probably move you upwards a bit. Alright, so we've got the banana, sugar, oil, and then we need a couple of eggs. So it's just 2 eggs. Alright, as per usual, breaking my eggs into a separate bowl first because they are from our chickens. So we don't want to ruin the rest of the ingredients by popping an egg in there that has a baby in it. Alright, so we've got the 2 eggs in there. Now I'm going to blend all of this up. So we just brought all that together, pureed the bananas up and things like that, which is what I like to do first. And then we've just got this banana liquid. I'm going to add a pinch of salt. I'm going to add a teaspoon of baking powder and a pinch of bicarb as well. I'm going to add some cinnamon because I love cinnamon in my banana bread. I'm not the one eating it, but you know. And I'm going to do a tablespoon of cinnamon. And then we want a 1.5 cups of plain flour. Now, a 1.5 cups should be about 225 grams. Curiosity, there's 1 cup, 1/2 cup, 230. So yeah, 225 grams is around about a 1.5 cups. And that's it. Now we're going to mix that together as well. We should end up with a pretty loose batter. And then once we've got that batter, we're going to add some chocolate chips to it. I'm going to grab a spatula to scrape it down. All right, so just going to scrape that down, make sure that's all blended. Now I'm going to add just a couple of handfuls of chocolate chips because chocolate chips make everything better. Yeah, just a Ziploc bag. They're in the cupboard, I think. So just a couple of the next cupboard over, I believe. I have been a little lazy with my cast iron pans, and they got a little bit of weathering on them, a little bit of rain, and so I've just re-scrubbed and seasoned them, but they're not perfect. So I'm going to line them with some baking paper just to make sure that nothing sticks, and it will make it easier to re-season these because they'll be heated up without cake on them. And then just going to pour the batter in, and then I'm just going to repeat the process and make the second loaf, and then I will get them baking. Now these take around about 50 minutes at about 180. It's a pretty big loaf. You don't want to pump the temperature too high because you will burn the outside edges before the middle cooks all the way through. So it's sort of a 45-50 minutes at the 175, 180 Celsius. So I'm going to put this one aside and make the next one. My mic is running really low, but I'm also avoiding inside. So we'll see how much I can get done before I move on. So the other thing I need to get done, so that banana bread's in the oven. The next thing I need to get done is the zucchini. So because of that whole coming back Sunday, everything is sat far longer than it should. So I need to cut the zucchini, check any bad spots, get rid of it. And I might basically just shred it all. And then for lunch today, we'll do zucchini fritters. And then if it's shredded, it can be frozen and can be used in pasta sauces, in bolognese, in anything like that from frozen. I can even use it in zucchini bread, which is always really nice, from frozen, which is why I don't mind buying zucchini in bulk and freezing it. It is nice to have it sort of just sauteed with dinner, and I might leave a couple good ones out because we'll probably have steak and veggies for dinner tonight because we still need to get through more of that broccoli and cauliflower as well, and have some of the zucchini sauteed with the veggies for dinner. So if there's a couple of good ones, or if there's some decent looking ones, I will leave them, put them back in the fridge, and we'll use them over the next couple of days. But I think pretty much I'm going to shred most of it. I was going to try dehydrating some, so what I might do too is salt some with the intent to squeeze it as dry as possible and throw it in the dehydrator and see how it goes. see how long it's going to take me, things like that, and go from there. But first up, I'm going to get my Thermomix all set up with the shredder, because I'll use the grater in the Thermomix to grate it all. It's just nice and easy and quick for me to do. So I'm going to get all the parts together for that first, and then get started. All right, so we've got the cutter. So we've got the brain fart. Oh my goodness. I cannot remember the name of it. It is just has escaped me. Anyway, the thing that spins everything that goes on the blades, and we've got the internal piece, and we've got the cutter. Now the cutter has a slicing blade and a grating blade, and then they both have a thick and a thin, which is adjusted by the speed of the backwards or forwards directional on your Thermomix. So we're going to go with the thicker grating, and there is a section on the screen that you can pick it rather than having to remember which way goes which. So on grating it says a thin and a thick, and so one direction is thin and one direction is thick, so we can bring that up. Now all I'm going to do is I'm going to just go through and do the zucchini and transfer it into a bowl, and then work with it as I go. So some of it's got a few spots that I'm going to have to cut away, which is my own fault for having taken too long to get to it, like that. Other than that, we're all good. So now I get comments all the time about not washing my veggies and things like that, and I didn't even show you the veggies that I was just doing that with. I don't wash them before they go in the fridge, because it can make for more issues, and I don't wash things that are going to be cooked, like I'm going to grate this, and then I'm either going to turn it into fritters, or I'm going to freeze it to be cooked later. Yes, I should still probably give it a quick rinse, but it's a lot of effort with where my kitchen is and everything, where the sink is and everything else, and it's going to be cooked. So if there is anything on the surface of this zucchini, it's now on my hands for a start, and then it's going to be transferred to everything else, but it's also going to be cooked. Now if this was a cucumber and I was going to eat it straight away without doing anything, yes, I'd give it a rinse, because you know, you want to wash off other people's hands and things like that. But anything that I'm going to cook, unless there's something that visibly needs to be cleaned on it, I'm pretty slack about it, and that's a personal choice. So if you feel better washing all your fruit and veg, then hey, you do you. But I'm going to fry this in 200-degree oil to be eaten, and if there's anything that's any sort of anything on the outside of it, it's going to be killed. If I was going to pick this up and eat it now, that's different, but I'm not, because it's zucchini and I don't like raw zucchini. It's okay, but it's not really my choice of things to eat. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and I'm going to grate a whole bunch of zucchini and then see how I go. Now I'm not sure where my plunger is for my Thermomix, mind you, of course, because that would make life easier. So I'm going to have a quick look for that first. Not anywhere easy to spot, and all I'm going to do is use more zucchini to push it down anyway, so it's not such a big deal. So we'll go on thick. Alright, and then we just feed it through, and I'll use further ones to push it through, and if I have a bit of wastage, then that's what it takes until I can find my plunger. One of the kids might be able to find it. And it just grates it up really nicely. So into nice big threads, which is what I like. I like the nice thick sort of threads. And then I'll just pour these into a bowl and keep on going. So I'm just going to go through and do as many of the zucchini as I need to, and I'll pour them in a big bowl and I'll bring it back. Got my mic plugged in for a minute, so the sound's going to be a bit worse, but I decided I've got about 700 grams of zucchini here that I've salted and then let drain, and I'm just going to squeeze. I don't normally go to this much effort for my fritters to get as much liquid out, but I want to do a quick test run in the dehydrator, so I want to get it as dry as possible. So I'm going to do it in small batches, and I'm going to use the, mind you, I haven't cleaned up the coconut, but it's not going to affect this at all. I'm not concerned. So I'm going to just do a small batch of zucchini just to see how long it takes, if I can get it nice and dry and spread out on these mesh trays. So these mesh things are really good because it means that you can do things smaller and more spread out, because as it dehydrates it gets even smaller and then it falls through the holes of the stainless steel, which is what I had a problem with in one of my last ones. But having all these mesh trays, the silicone, whatever you want to call them, that come with it, and the fact that it comes with enough to use pretty much the entire dehydrator full of them, I think is pretty amazing. So I'm just going to spread it out really nice and loosely, and as it dries out a little bit I'll probably come in and give it a little bit more of a, it's hard to separate when it's wet, see, but once it dries a little bit I should be able to separate that even more. So if I spread out just a couple of trays like this and give it a run and see how it goes. Out of curiosity, just bought new kitchen scissors and I don't know where I put them. Oh, here they are. So I want to cut the plastic, but I want to make sure not to cut the tray, of course. So again, can probably be roused on for not washing these before using them. I just thought of that, but oh well. And I'm just going to dump the next lot on here, and I'm going to squeeze another couple of handfuls as well, like that, and just this in here to squeeze. I think that's the thing with dehydrated foods too, is that even a whole can load turns into such a small amount, which is great for storage purposes, but it's a lot of work for what feels like very minimal product. And when you're watching power usage and stuff like that, then sometimes that becomes a little bit of the thing that you have to sit there and toss up, like pumpkin powder. I can buy dehydrated pumpkin powder for about $20 a kilo. Is that potentially more worth it than the effort and time that it would take me to make a kilo of dehydrated pumpkin powder? If I grew my own pumpkins, that would be different, but buying them and then doing it, I just forgot I didn't have my mic on and walked away as I was saying it, but buying them and then dehydrating them, value wise, I'm probably better off buying it, but I still want to experiment with doing things like this as well. So I'm just going to do this, I'm going to get this going, and then I should be able to go and grab my mic again too. And scratch that, because I turned the dehydrator on and the inverter that it's plugged into started beeping. So I don't know why, it's plenty of sun. I will have to investigate that before I can run it, but that's a bit annoying. So anyway, I'm going to do the rest to get the zucchini fritters for lunch done. So I'm going to drain about 1 kilo of them. So this is all the liquid that came out of those ones that I did there. I don't need to be as vigorous with getting the water out for the fritters, but I do like to salt them and get a little bit of it out. There's actually quite a few that are in really good condition still, so which is one of the beauties of having the chest fridges, because they run just that bit colder than your average, front door fridge. So all the fruit and veg we try and store in that chest fridge, not on the very bottom because things will freeze and then that ruins them, but middle of the middle of the area for the things that have been stored in the cold room. All right, so I've got about 700 grams of shredded zucchini that I've salted and squeezed a significant amount of liquid out, but I'm not being pedantic about it. I'm going to add a couple of eggs. And I'm going to check my notes because, yeah, okay, so a couple of eggs. Now, I'm just going to do this really, really simply. I am going to add some of this, this Parmesan cheese is not really cheese like it is, but it isn't, which I bought purposely to use for crumbing and stuff. What's this got in it? It's got 100 grams, so maybe half of this. Maybe sort of 50 grams of that. And then I'm going to add a bit of almond flour because I want to keep these as low carb as possible because Darryl loves zucchini fritters too. So let me find the almond flour. Alright, we want a similar sort of, I should have just grabbed my scales out for the Parmesan, but I didn't. A similar sort of amount of almond flour, say 50 grams of almond flour. And we will do this a little bit by eye because it really depends on your zucchini. Like, it really does. I'm going to add some onion flakes into that. It's already got salt in it because I had the, I salted the zucchini. Just going to put a couple of things of grinds of pepper in there. And then basically I'm just going to mix it up and see what it does. See what the texture is. I'm just using my hands because I really need to see what the texture ends up being. I am going to let it sit for a little bit and let that almond flour soak up some of the liquid. But I would say that this is going to need a bit more binding agent. It's still a little bit too sloppy. And if it's too sloppy, you just can't flip it. No matter how much you cook one side, when you go to flip it, it will fall apart. So that's what we're looking for, is that happy medium of still wet, but so that when you go to flip it on a pan, you can actually pick it up to flip it. So I'd say this will need about the same again of almond flour, and then we should be right. So we end up with 100 grams of almond flour in there. About 50 grams of that dried Parmesan, 700 odd grams of zucchini. I don't know what it was after it was drained. It was 700 grams beforehand. And I'm happy with that sort of a texture. It's holding together well enough that I feel like once it's cooked a little bit, it's going to flip. So that's what I'm going to cook up. Now, I have a whole bunch of zucchini shredded here, and I will probably just bag that up and freeze it. I don't think I want to do anything else with it today. And the good ones I'll probably put straight back into the fridge to use tonight and tomorrow. So I'll bring you back once I'm cleaned up and frying these off. I bagged it up into 1 kilo lots because that gives me the ability to do 2 zucchini breads or just adding a kilo to a cooked thing. And I ended up with about the 700 grams left again of the zucchini. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to double this batch of zucchini fritters because they're always nice reheated too. So I'm just going to add all the same ingredients. I just add the next 700 grams of zucchini in there. So I'll add the other half of the Parmesan bag that I bought. I'll probably have to open another thing of almond meal by the looks of it. And I need to grab, maybe I could, let's mix this up and see. Maybe I don't add more eggs. It looks bad, but it's just so much easier with my hands to get it all blended through and assess the texture. I think I'm going to leave it at that. I think I'm just going to leave no eggs. No, like there's 2 eggs in it rather than say 4 for this size batch, and that little bit of, I think I'll fry one off and see how it goes and then make a call. So now I just need to get the pans heated up. Now I'm pretty generous with the oil because I like my zucchini fritters to be crispy on the bottom. They're really good done in lard, but we've kind of run out of lard, I think. I probably need to order some from the butcher in Toowoomba next time Darryl goes so that we can get, I can render some more. I don't like to do it in too big a batches because it's just too much risk of it going off. So, all right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this ladle, I think. And then I've got an offset spatula. So I'm just going to do ladles and then flatten them out. Now, we want them fairly flat because I want them crispy. So I'm just going to use a little bit of the oil and do this with them. Now my stove, Darryl levels it for me all the time, and yet it seems to be uneven again because all the oil is pooling in this corner. But that just means that I'll claim those ones because they'll be nice and crispy. But yeah, I think less generous with the ladlefuls so we can get them nice and thin. And give it another go. As I said, I'm going to offset spatula, dip it in a little bit of the oil, and then use it to flatten them out. They smell good. And I'm going to let them cook for a decent amount of time on the first side, because what we want is we want those bottoms to set so that when we flip it, it doesn't just fall apart. So let's see how we go. So we've got some colour showing through and the tops are starting to set, so I'm going to give it a go. It might still be a little bit... Nope, it's not going to flip for me. Nope. And it's getting pretty crispy on the bottom and not flipping. So we might need more egg and flour to get these to work. We will eat them regardless, but definitely not holding together. So we're going to have to try with those added eggs and then bump up the dry to make it work as well. So what we've ended up with is basically a zucchini egg scramble with a bit of almond flour and stuff. It's still super tasty. I still would like to get these to work though. So I did an extra 2 eggs and some extra almond flour into the batter, and we're going to give it another go. But worst comes to worst, we cook it off and we eat it. I was thinking that the leftover pizza sauce, that roasted tomato sauce that I'm still have in the fridge to use up, would be really nice with this and some sour cream. So that's what we're going to eat. So even if it's in a scramble, then, you know, that's life. But I did add another couple of eggs and probably another 100 grams of almond flour to try and bring this together a bit. Maybe I'll do one pan first. Shall we do one pan first? Turn the pans down a little bit too, because they were getting a little toasty while I was trying to cook the scramble off without burning it all. So let's give this a go and we shall see. But the scramble pieces, the bits that did stick together, super tasty. Probably a little salty because I used that faux Parmesan cheese. It is Parmesan cheese, but you know what I mean. And I had salted the zucchini, but I didn't add any salt into it, so it's a little bit salty, but I like salty things. And it'll be nice with that roasted tomato and sour cream. I think it'd be very tasty. And honestly, Darryl is so easygoing that he would just eat that. Even if I served that up, didn't even tell him that it was failed zucchini fritters, he would think that I did it on purpose and would eat it and wouldn't make a fuss. So lucky there. But I'm hoping that these ones might stick together a little bit better. So I'm just going to turn that pan up very slightly. The banana bread's done. I've just turned the oven off. I'll pull it out in a sec once I get stuff sorted. All right, let's cross our fingers. Oh, that looks a bit more promising. Still not. Oh, flipped into one piece, and that's what we're after. So it's definitely better than the first go, and will be more appealing to the children. The children probably won't eat a whole lot of this, though. I did use the Parmesan in it, but as I've been saying, the kids have been tolerating some dairy in their food, and the that Parmesan is so processed that there's not a huge amount of allergens left in it. Like, it's, yeah, and it was 100 grams across all of these, so it should be fine. So I'm just going to cook the rest of them off like this. I'm pretty happy with that texture now. I don't think I'd make these keto again. I'm not in love with the texture. There is so much filler and not very much zucchini, and it's tasty, it is, but I like my zucchini with a bit of batter, like I like my okonomiyaki. And this is just a little too much batter with a bit of zucchini. I think I'd prefer to just put zucchini in the pan, fry it a little bit, and then crack eggs over it, and then just use that sort of thing. Because this is just a little bit too much batter to my zucchini. But, of course, we'll eat it. But, yeah, it's not quite what I was after. So I probably won't make these keto zucchini fritters again. I'll have to have a think. The kids have requested banana bread, of course, after their zucchini fritters. Now, get your hands off it. It's sunk a fair bit. I checked it with a cake tester and it seemed cooked, but it has sunk a fair bit, which normally means that it's not quite as cooked in the middle as it could be. But it's banana bread, so if it's a little bit moist, it's not really that big a deal. But it looks pretty good to me.
I don't care what it looks like. It's good. I'm gonna eat it.
So it's a little bit undercooked right at the bottom there, but it's perfectly edible. So I should have let it go just a little bit longer, but that is fine. So yes, we'll let the other one sit. We'll cut them all up and we'll put them away when they're a bit cooler. But it's a little bit undercooked right at the bottom. Should have let it go just a little bit longer. So once the jackery was charged, I turned the dehydrator on with the zucchini in it, and then I actually turned the dehydrator back off to use the Thermomix to make the kids Play-Doh, which I made them a big batch of purple Play-Doh because they asked for it. And then turned the dehydrator back on and kind of just forgot. I went inside, did a whole bunch of D&D stuff, and I've just sat there and gone, I turned the dehydrator back on. The inverter is not beeping, so obviously the load is fine and nothing else needs to use that solar today, but it's not going to charge up for tomorrow if I don't get things off shortly. It's not looking bad. I'll give you a look. So it's all sort of crinkled up. It's not quite, it's still got a lot of wet on the bottom of it though, and that's the problem, is trying to get it completely dry. It's always going to be a challenge. And I do wonder, like I grated it and squeezed it thinking that might be better, but maybe just really thin slices and slightly salting them would be better, because then you're only going to always get a single layer if you spread it out. Maybe that would be better in the end, even though these are smaller pieces, because they end up sort of clustered together. You end up with some thicker bits. It's not bad, but it probably needs a bit longer, and it's 4:20, the sun's setting. I don't know how much longer I can run it for, so we will see. But yeah, I don't know. The other thing is that this amount was like 700 grams of zucchini, and once it's dehydrated and I powder it, it'll be a couple of teaspoons, and I just don't know if that's worth it in the scope of our power requirements and time used and things like that. I just don't know. So, you know, I'm going to keep on deciding on that. Dinner-wise tonight, I'm going super simple. Darryl and I have some steak and veggies, and actually some of the kids like steak and some of them don't so much, and the steak that we've got left is fairly expensive steak, and I get in trouble for saying it, but it seems a waste to give it to the kids if they don't enjoy it. And I bought those cheap chicken nuggets that have the good amount of chicken in them, but they were on half price, like $2 for a 400 gram, $2.20 for a 400 gram packet. So I might cook some of them up in the oven and do them with potato mash and the veggies. So we do cauliflower, broccoli grilled like normal, and then maybe a bit of gravy. I think that they will thoroughly enjoy that, whereas the steak, some would like, some wouldn't so much, and we may as well eat the really nice steak if they're not going to appreciate it. But I do get a bit of flack for saying things like that. So each to their own, everybody's household to, themselves. But the kids adore things like frozen chicken nuggets, which is just strange, but they do. And so they're getting a treat by me buying them, and we get a treat by having steak, because that's our preference. So, but I might do that. So I might bring you back, I might not. This might be the end of the video for the last few days. I have no idea. But if it is, I'll see you on the next one. And if not, I'll put some outro here of food prep of dinner. I actually thought these were nuggets. These were the ones that I got half price. So it was $2.20 per packet, 400 grams. And they're actually tenders. So they're tender pieces. And they're 63% chicken. So they're pretty darn good for what they are. And even at full price, they may be pretty darn good. So those bags of stuff that I bought is better because there's less rubbish to worry about if you buy them by the kilo instead of 400 grams. But yeah, these are actually, I thought these were nuggets, but they're tenders, so they should work really well for the kids. I make this sort of thing myself all the time, but I decided this month to buy some pre-crumbed stuff for the kids because they're kids and they really like it, and it's really weird, but whatever. So I'm going to just throw these in the oven, mashed potato, veg.